Well, good morning, everybody. My name is Jared. This is Justice's Waiting Room. This is a daily live podcast where we discuss news and politics. We are live on YouTube and Twitch. Again, the show is called Justice's Waiting Room. You can search for either that or Likely Alien. And every morning when we start, we listen to war. Yeah, Danielle. And lose them. Hashtag JWR. As always, Free Palestine, Slava Ukraine. Right? Now, I'm going to post this on Twitter and Facebook and Blue Sky. And I'd ask you, really only on Blue Sky. Boo to that. I created more work for myself. This is why I usually wait. That way you've got some stories to look at while I'm doing this. Got to be a better way. Oh, it'd be funny if this song ends. Oh boy. News. News. It did. It did. It didn't. I lost it. Oh. I did. Where did that picture come from? Oh. For some reason, it sent the. See, this is why these sites are terrible. You have to get off of them now. Okay, so. Stop the music, Jared. Listen to this shit. So, I just created a post in Blue Sky, and I failed to copy it. So when I went to Twitter to create a new post, I could only copy part of the post to Blue Sky because I had already posted it, so it's completely written in different code. Long story short, I just copied the first couple sentences and I pasted it in Twitter. And it took my header image from Blue Sky, which means that it's taking the information that I copied it from Blue Sky and it's sending it through Twitter. So when I posted that to Twitter, it showed my Blue Sky profile, which is not what we're trying to do. Got to get off Twitter and Facebook for sure. And that is a great caveat into the first story of the day. Okay. China has launched large-scale military exercises around Taiwan. So for those of you been following along with the show. Oh, and let's start with that. Don't take my kindness for weakness and our proximity. Do you understand? I try not to divulge too much of myself. I've offered to like play video games with people, but on the whole, I ain't got time. That's it. So Zelensky here, Volodymyr Zelensky, has revealed the Western course of action if Russia refuses peace. Volodymyr Zelensky has said that if Russia's war against Ukraine continues, the United States and Europe will keep providing assistance to Kiev. Yeah, happy fourth day of Kwanzaa for those celebrating. Happy Hanukkah, Merry Christmas, uh, Happy Holidays. All of them are okay, and it shouldn't offend you either way. Because if it ain't for you, fuck do you care, man? Here's that demoralizing shit out of Russia. This is how they do it. Russian troops execute 3 unarmed Ukrainian soldiers. Zelensky says the U.S. has offered the Ukraine a 15-year security guarantee as part of their peace plan. I mean, Putin's dead by then for sure, and they're not going to cede territory. Understand? Even Zelensky's like any territorial deal must be decided by the Ukrainian people. We can have a referendum on any kind of points of this plan. Of course, our society has to choose because it's their land, not of one person. It's the land of our nation for a lot of generations. Again, people like Donald Trump and Mitch McConnell and Marco Rubio, they're invested in Russia's development of the land they steal from Ukraine. So if you ever wondered why this regime seems so pro-Russia, it's you can see it specifically with the request for the economic buffer zone in Ukraine, where they're basically saying like it's not necessarily Ukrainian or Russian territory, but damn, we'd like to put a pub down there. You get what I'm saying? Um, they're taking on the risky developments and assuming, yeah, it's just gonna happen, right? Russian submarine was deployed alongside a spy ship to map critical undersea infrastructure around Britain. It has emerged. The Yantar, officially described as a Russian research ship, surveyed the gas pipeline linking Britain and Ireland. An anti submarine Merlin Mark II helicopter could be seen from the photo tracking the Yantar in the Irish Sea from November last year. We see you, we know what we're doing, we will not shy away from robust action to protect this country. Love that shit. So this came out in the last like 7 hours. So we had an afternoon show yesterday and are still brimming with news today. U.S. Ukraine security is 100% guaranteed. And of course, Donald Trump will flip flop on this and we'll all be like, darn. But for now, that doesn't make any sense. Putin says Russia will achieve its Ukraine aims by force if Kiev doesn't want peace. Burp. Putin and Trump do not support the European Ukrainian temporary ceasefire idea. So, understand Ukraine is saying, like, we want peace, get out of our land. Russia's saying, no, and you wanting us out of your land means you want war. See, here's why we need the American Socialist Party and the Young Socialists Club. Turning Point USA is opening up chapters in like 300 colleges. And here's in Bangladesh, student led parties are allying with, and again, when I'm thinking like, The student led Bangladeshi party born out of the protest movement that toppled Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina's forged an electoral alliance with Islamist party Jamaat-e Islami ahead of February's parliamentary elections, stirring internal rifts. Since last year's uprising, the National Citizen Party has cast itself as a centrist reformist alternative to nepotism and two party dominance, but as the election nears, it's struggling to turn street power into voter support. Now, the National Citizen Party, NCP, the party decided to enter into the alliance for greater unity, adding that the final list of candidates would be announced on Monday. Obviously, pragmatism is like a big deal here. I was gonna say, didn't it seem weird to partner with the Islamists? Because weren't they critics of independence? Yeah, they were. Anyway, I know very little. Just say the man has a basic understanding of some shit. But I always thought the Islamists were critics of Bangladesh's independence from Pakistan and alleged role in 1971 war crimes. Yeah, okay. Okay. Just a whole bunch of people are gonna. Yeah. So in Tehran, shopkeepers are protesting the currency plunge as the rial hits an all time low. Wow. Yeah, this felt like a warning. CNN's titling is also cooperating. Uh, China is doing these military drills as a means of like warning Taiwan and Japan. Um, Obviously, we know that, right? Oh wow, a bunch of people died in Mexico. A train derailed yesterday. What was it carrying? Where was it headed? Let's find out. Mexican authorities say on Sunday 13 people were killed after an interoceanic train carrying 250 people, oh shit, derailed in the southern state of Oaxaca. Mexican Navy said the train derailed near the town of Nizanda, carrying 9 crew members and 241 passengers. 13 dead, 139 out of danger, 98 injured, 36 received medical attention. Wow. Jeez. Mark Root is just given too much. He's given Donald Trump too much, man. Now, my idea was found the American Socialist Party. Maybe I can get a job as a college football coach and just get asked frequently about socialist shit as a football coach. That was kind of my thought process. Obviously, it's a pipe dream. That's not how it really works. Um, and then the Young Socialist Club is just like all the football fans that understand, that have taken basic economics and understand, like, if you just look at this from a numbers perspective, the wages have been stagnant so long that the cost of living has outpaced wages, and the majority of Americans make less than is required to survive. And I don't know about you, but I pay an awful lot in taxes, I feel. And I think that our tax dollars ought to lift all boats, if you know what I'm saying. You know what I'm saying? I think that we're all due a basic standard of living. Universal health care, education, income, and housing is the next step forward. People always say they want to make America great again, right? What if kids didn't have to worry about shelling out for a bachelor's degree anymore? What if that associates didn't cost so much, right? If anything at all, right? What if they didn't have to worry about rent for a while? A lot of people say like, "Oh, that sounds awful like government housing." I was in the military. It worked out. Water was hot and clean. Bed was sleepable. You know what I'm saying? So I would much rather, you know, as opposed to what this regime's planning to do. This regime will kill or kidnap people and turn them into slave labor if you're able-bodied. Otherwise, they'll rend you to a third country. China is suggesting the Philippines illegal fishing is damaging the Scarborough Shoal. Premeditated provocations near the Sabina Shoal. Hmm. You know, when I was in college, here's my idea. When I was in college, I was friends with athletes, and so I tried to go support them, especially when they were at home, because it was on campus. And and this is 20 years ago. It's still pretty true today. On almost every college campus, with the exception of like the top 25 programs in the country, most sports are pretty poorly attended. And my thought process is students typically get to go to sporting events for free. And what if the socialist connection was just hey, the Young Socialist Club will pay for your soda and your snack. Enjoy yourselves. Here's a T-shirt. Here's what our ideas are. Right? That's that's a million times better than what TPUSA is doing. Right? They're not invested in athletes and sports and trying to connect people and shit. They're trying to divide us up. We'd crush them. It'd be so easy. Now I'm gonna have to go back to school uh, to be able to do that on a college campus, but yada yada yada. All right, in South Korea, 4,000 schools have shut down nationwide as student numbers plunge. Since 1980, wow, during the period from 1980 to now, the number of enrolled students has gone from 9.9 million to 5.07 million. Korea's birth rate lowest in the world, with total fertility rate remaining below zero point 0.8. So think about it. What if instead of you go stand there with your fucking hands in your pockets out in the cold watching some field hockey or some shit? What if there was a whole gaggle of you motherfuckers and you were fat and happy? Right, that's a way better college experience at a base level. Right? I was part of the Young Socialist Club. We just went to sporting events and were real rowdy and loud and shit. Is that it? Yeah, it was a really good time. And it was fun. That's what I did when I was in college. Now, I was drunk and high and all kind of shit, but you get it. Because you know that I played basketball like every day when I was at Purdue, and you just meet people that, oh, I'm on the gymnastics team, or I'm a wrestler, or I'm on a track team or whatever. You'd be like, for real? For here? Do people like show up for your shit? Nobody shows up to watch water polo. We have a water polo team? I'm going to watch that shit. That's how I reunited with my childhood friend in college. I don't know if I've ever gotten to tell people this. So when I was at Purdue, I was trying to play sports and I just didn't work hard enough when I was young. And so when I got to college, I could be like a good athlete, but I was brittle. You find out you're made of paper mache once you start running into each other. Um, but I was still like really into sports and more of like I don't know, like a rec player. You know what I'm saying? Like I just want to go into the rec and play 5-on-5 against randoms. I don't give a shit. Um, but once playing college sports was sort of off the table, and I started going around and meeting people and expanding your horizons and realizing that there's a lot more going on a college campus than just fucking football or basketball even. And yeah, one of the guys that I played basketball with pretty regularly was on the water polo team. And I was like, no shit. And he was like, hey, you should come to our next, home event or whatever. And I was like, I will. And I waddled my fat ass over there and watched them lose in water polo. It was like Wisconsin or something. And I, in the middle of the game, I was like, I know who that person is. I've known that person since I was in kindergarten. And after it was over, a giant, you know, muscled ass man jumped out of the pool, and it was my best childhood friend. His name was Patrick Vonish. Yeah, and I was like, go put some clothes on, let's hang out. And yeah, we were buddies after being, apart for better part of a decade. hmm All because of just being the natural inclination to make new friends and broaden your horizons. Like, there's more to life than you being the star of the show, right? You can go be a fan of somebody else, right? And that turned me into the sports fan that I am today, where it's like if you always give yourself something to look forward to, the day's a lot easier to manage. A lot of the professional sports in the U.S. are unionized, fully unionized, meaning like everyone, the coaches, the players, they're all unionized, and they're very visible professionals. It's cool to watch. And I even think like the adult socialists club could very be easily be the people that go watch sporting events that maybe aren't the big popular one like the NFL. You know, all sports are important. Anyway, I'm just spitballing. Dang. All right, South Korean retail giant Coupang to compensate $1.1 billion to affected users over a data breach. That's a pretty massive data breach. U.S. pledges $2 billion for UN humanitarian aid as Trump. What? U.S. pledges $2 billion for UN humanitarian aid as Trump slashes funding and warns agencies to adapt or die. From the AP. We're probably reading this article. The United States on Monday announced a $2 billion pledge for UN humanitarian aid as President Donald Trump's administration continues to slash U.S. foreign assistance and warns United Nations agencies to adapt, shrink, or die in a time of new financial realities. The money is a small fraction of what the U.S. has contributed in the past, but reflects what the administration believes is a generous amount that will maintain the United States' status as the world's largest humanitarian donor. The pledge creates an umbrella fund from which the money will be doled out to individual agencies and priorities, a key part of U.S. demands for drastic changes across the world body that have alarmed, I don't know why that's there, that have alarmed many humanitarian workers and led to severe reductions in programs and services. $2 billion is only a sliver of traditional U.S. humanitarian funding for UN-backed programs, which has run as high as $17 billion. Wonder where all that $15 billion is going, Don? Your buddies' pockets? Oof. Because my thought process about socialism is that the media is going to go out of their way to make sure they keep us off the radar. And if we just start showing up at sporting events and you're getting provided with like a t-shirt or a hoodie and it says socialism on it and shit, people are being forced to take it in without us having to pay for millions of dollars for advertising. And as long as like the people that join the American Socialist Party, they understand like this is the cadence. This is what we're saying when people are asking, "What is socialism?" Well, it's any pro-equality movement, right? And while we're doing that, thanks for bringing it up. Whoever. Merriam-Webster's dictionary. Okay. Says socialism is any of a various pro-equality or egalitarian movement, whether economic and political, advocating collective or governmental ownership and administration of the means of production, distribution of goods, and all that means for you and I, because I'm a syndicalist socialist and I like to make things I see simple become even simpler. I'm a syndicalist socialist, and that just means that I think you ought to join a union and learn a trade and become a strong union advocate. Why? Because when the far right takes over the government, it will be the unions fighting against corporations and the government to keep wages up and to keep benefits in place. And one of the things that I'll forever think about is what's the dude with like four names? Billy Bob, Hunchback of Notre Dame, whatever that fucking dude's name was when he was trying to fight the head of the union in 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 the courtroom, and you were just like, I'm gonna go join a union now. Like, what the fuck is a government, an elected official trying to fight the head of a union for? Like, I've never been more pro union in my life. Like, I hope he beats that dude's ass. He looks like a pipe guy. Anyway, so what we mean about the change in the means of production is that I want you to start your own business. I want you to look into starting a co-op. One of the things that I've been reading on is how to like rebuild using socialism. Um, oh fuck, what was I gonna say? Oh, with the economy. How to rebuild using socialism. Co-ops, small business ownership, unions, and supporting businesses that provide products that benefit the community first. So, like, instead of our tax dollars going towards these farms that produce goods that are sold to other countries, instead of producing stuff for here, you want to make sure that your tax that you take pays for the people to produce goods that are consumed locally, right? Turkish police are fighting with the IS. 9 people killed in the clash. Not like there's not shit going on everywhere. See, this is what I don't understand. Didn't Okay. Israel recognizes Somaliland, right? In Somalia, a part of the country is breaking away. Okay, and Israel recognized that shit. And the Houthis said the Israeli presence in Somaliland would be considered a military target. So it's like, didn't didn't Israel just recognize Somaliland, and the Houthis are saying like, show up, it's on site. Just making sure we throw this out here. What is it? There ain't no church in the wild. I think that's the correct the correct way to see that. When was this? After the show yesterday, Kim Jong Un making a public appearance and is testing long range cruise missiles. Haven't seen them for a while. This makes me laugh. So, all these countries are like anti immigrant, and we got to bring manufacturing back to get the price of goods down. And the UK is saying, well, if we just import cheap Chinese imports, it could drive down inflation. So these people that we're kicking out of our country, China Global South reporting, hey, I wonder if this is how wars start. They tore down a statue memorializing China's contribution in the Panama Canal, and they tore it down. And it's like, who tore that down? The move comes as U.S. President Donald Trump has made threats in the recent months to retake control of the canal. claiming Beijing has too much influence in its operations. Also, I want to point out how we are not at war with Venezuela. Still. Is this thing on? I just want to point out how we're still not at war with Venezuela. Iran has jailed 8 women on charges of promoting their beliefs. Propaganda against the Islamic Republic, promoting Baha'i beliefs and cooperating with hostile groups. That does not sound like freedom of religion. What the fuck is CBI? Citizenship by investment. Well, let's look up citizen. This is St. Vincent and the Grenadines. Okay. Yeah, I just want to make sure. This Monday morning, we are not at war with Venezuela. Thanks for the like, Zeke. But let's look at what is citizenship by investment. Oh, hey Taylor. Citizenship by investment offers passports in exchange for significant financial contributions like donation or real estate purchases, providing visa free travel and tax benefits with popular programs in the Caribbean. Oh. But basically what they're saying is like you could buy land here because they're too poor to borrow. It's not necessarily good. When I see CBI, I'm like, basic income? Is that the Caribbean? Like, Donnie, give me money and you can live here. Yeah. Yeah. It sounds an awful lot like they're trying to attract people like Donald Trump by saying if you got a visa, you can just come here and buy land. All right, let's switch this over to the U.S. news and politics. Man, she really does look like a Neanderthal, I gotta admit. Like, even when they try to do her good, they do her dirty. She looks like a Neanderthal in that picture. She looks like the wax figure Neanderthal at the Children's Museum with blonde hair. Like, it's like they threw a wig on the one that's like hunched over with the short spear and the leather buckler. Anyway, she Marjorie Taylor Greene says she broke with Trump when he said that's where I disagree with Charlie. I hate my opponent and I don't want the best for them. Like this was eulogizing Charlie Kirk. Our side has been trained by Donald Trump to never apologize and never admit when you're wrong. Just keep pummeling your enemies no matter what. Wow, this is a good article. The New York Times. Yeah, it's a bad. It's even when they were trying to do it right, they did it dirty. Her hair looks exceptionally white trash. Jesus Christ. Didn't do it. Pipe bomb suspect told FBI he targeted U.S. political parties because they're in charge. I still think it was Marjorie Taylor Greene. I think it's ironic that that was two stories in a row. One was about Marjorie Taylor Greene, and the next one was about the pipe bomber in Washington, D.C. on January 6th. And now, in your brain, because this is how it's supposed to work, Marjorie Taylor Greene is the D.C. pipe bomber. MAGA apparently feuding USS Liberty. Yeah, year in racism and misogyny. Yep. But remember, in 1967, the Israelis attacked the USS Liberty. Oh God. Oh damn. Like we said, several thousand Americans are fighting in Ukraine, right? And you know Donald Trump's not going to be able to be very empathetic with anyone, right? America Fest. Remember that I told you they had an ability to ability to martyr Charlie Kirk and they failed. It's one of the things we take from this situation. Donald Trump's ego is so goddamn big they couldn't even martyr Charlie Kirk. Time has come for the Working Families Party. The Progressive Third Party's national director said after a year of big wins and growing hunger for voter among voters for a home outside the two major political parties. For 26 years we've been building this argument. The argument has met the moment. Party founded in 1998 helped elect Zohran Mamdani. Worked to get rid of an electoral process in New Jersey that prioritized party insiders. Saw its endorsees win races across the country. Party has made inroads in deep blue cities too, endorsees winning in Dayton, Ohio and Buffalo, New York. Candidates can be endorsed by both the Working Families Party and the Democratic Party. Part of Working Families' success stems from the Democratic Party's flagging brand with some voters who see it as too moderate or simply unwilling to fight for the interests of its voters. Fucking A. You know what I don't really see though? Policy. We need a socialist party that says no universal healthcare, education, income, and housing, pro equality, join a union, right? If that's not the messaging, and they're like also a political party that's left of the Democrats, well, holy fuck. There ought to be a bunch of them. And just about anybody could be left of the fucking Democrat Party. What are we talking about? Okay? It's not that we can't work together. Dan Goldman. House was debating a powerful national security agency spying program when Depp ran. Goldman rose to side against privacy hawks. So understand, oof. Part of the reason Donald Trump's doing this shit, this guy right here, Dan Goldman, who argued, you know, when you label someone a terrorist, hey, if I got to get a warrant and permission to go in there and do the thing, it takes too much time. And because he was able to successfully argue, you're looking at a bunch of warrantless arrests, kidnappings, rending to a third country, you know, basically politically exiling people. You know what I saw that I haven't really seen an article about? I heard that MAGA is flipping out because Kilmar Brego Garcia is on TikTok, making TikToks now. Good for him. Hope he shows his family. In 2025, Epstein showed MAGA who they really are. Agree. So Donald Trump fed reporters steak and coconut shrimp from Trump branded water bottles after asking if they would consider that a bribe. So this is where Donald Trump is now. So again, that's just my opinion. Hey, in 2019, this guy named Dan Goldman argued as someone who had been in a position to take down a terrorist that happened to get a warrant every time before you go arrest a terrorist. It takes too much time. And that's probably where we're at now. hmm Robert Reich says Americans are waking up. A grand reckoning awaits us. I think people are going to realize, we spent our whole lives saying, I don't want to talk about politics. for it to become wildly important that I know your politics. I mean, the way I feel about it now, based on people's politics, it would determine how comfortable I would be knowing that you're alone in a room with an underage child. Netanyahu to press for another round of war with Iran in a meeting with Donald Trump this week. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu heads to Mar-a-Lago to meet with Donald Trump on Monday, so that's today. People are saying he's going to push the U.S. back towards war with Iran. Yeah. And if you look at that Working Families Party. Marjorie Taylor Greene saying, can we just do America? And remember, hit dogs holler, broken clocks are right twice a day. So just because Marjorie Taylor Greene says something that makes some semblance of sense, she's going to run for public office again. She learned her lesson. Oh, I figured out what's wrong. The lid on my coffee cup's broken. That's why I'm like slurping. My bad, y'all. You don't see stories like this very often. FEMA is denying the disaster declaration in Arizona counties, says their governor Katie Hobbs. I'll read. Between September 25th and September 27th, 2025, the state of Arizona experienced a prolonged period of torrential rainfall and flash flooding resulting from a stalled monsoonal moisture system that interacted with a low pressure trough over central Arizona. FEMA says, based on our review of all of the information available, it has been determined that the damage from this event was not such severity and magnitude as to be beyond the capabilities of the state and affected local governments. Accordingly, we have determined that the supplemental federal assistance is not necessary. By Governor Hobbs, so by denying much needed relief, this administration is leaving Arizonans out on their own after their homes, businesses, roads, and bridges were decimated by historic storms. I will appeal this reckless decision and continue doing everything in my power to ensure Arizona communities don't pay the price for the federal government's senseless policies. Yeah, what the fuck? Jesus. Books, bags, leather, all that stuff's prices are about to go up. Trying to make blue states look bad. Yeah, absolutely. New York Times reporting Democratic governors are fighting Trump's war on wind energy. Bryce Reeves has dropped out of a Senate race in Virginia, leaving Republicans without a leading candidate to unseat three-term Democratic Senator Mark Warner. Yeah, it's because there's no money. Now you gotta wonder if Josh Stein here signing this agreement to expand high-speed internet in North Carolina is doing so with Starlink. Well, it doesn't say Starlink, so huh. Hey, it's not terrible, okay? There is $1 billion though that seems unallocated that's going to be used on creating awareness, and $1 billion ought to do it. What the Here's an audit from the Navajo Nation. Comprehensive audit of the Navajo Nation's finances and federal programs for fiscal 2024 shows a tribal government with vast financial resources, billions in cash and investments, and a comparatively small debt load. Look at you go. Here's an article from the New Republic saying Marco Rubio is not the adult in the room, he's a warmonger. He's also an opportunist, and he is trying to ensure that Russia takes control of Ukrainian land because he's invested on Russia's development of Ukrainian land. I want to make sure we continue to say Marco Rubio, not an ally to the United States, is not someone that's loyal to the United States. I think we saw this article, yeah, right about the time the White House has seized. Okay. Basically, Trump's goons have taken over the Department of Justice's social media. A new report warns. So here's grist.org. Okay. The Pentagon is hoarding critical minerals that could power the clean energy transition. The Department of Defense is stockpiling cobalt, lithium, and other minerals at the expense of climate action. Pete Hegseth, who has taken to calling himself the Secretary of War, says that the Defense Department does not do climate change crap. Just last week, he asserted that the agency will not be distracted by climate change or woke moralizing. But a new report suggests that the Pentagon is engaging with the issue in one serious way. As it stockpiles dozens of critical minerals, it is threatening the energy transition by hoarding resources that could be used to decarbonize transportation, energy production, and other sectors. Little interesting report there. From AI to chips, big tech's getting what it wants from Donald Trump. As I will continue to say every day, every time we bring up AI, artificial intelligence is a misnomer. You are being sold um, advanced databasing, um, and a language learning module. Think of it like if an Excel had an assistant, like the little paperclip guy in Microsoft Word. That's what AI is. It's like the little paperclip assistant in Excel. And I am absolutely browbeating the shit out of anyone or any programmer that uses AI. Um, we demonstrated in my college years, we demonstrated over and over and over again that the human brain is far more capable than AI. And a reminder that AI is trained by the human brain. So it is inferior because it's not like the AI trains you. You train the AI. hmm Repressive enforcement agencies are often stocked with underachievers. So the Boston Globe reporting on the staffing of the secret police. Bankruptcies have reached a 15-year peak. Hey, by the way, I work in finance, and I've only ever sent a couple people to declare bankruptcy. Um, Largely, what you need to do is write down all your bills versus your income. And if you're nowhere near positive on your budget, like you got to be like 500 to 1,000, meaning like you couldn't even pick up a part-time job and cover the negative, then yeah, maybe you need to declare bankruptcy. But I don't meet people that are living thousands of dollars below their budget a month. Most of the people that I talk to, after you pay all your bills, you got less than a couple $1,000s left over after it's all said and done. Most of the people I talk to are also unable to save money. I just want to see you save instead of live on credit cards, especially if you're not in a position to declare bankruptcy. And again, my whole point here by talking about my job was to tell people that, hey, declaring bankruptcy is giving in, it's quitting. Very few people should actually do that. I work in finance. I would just tell you, oh, your budget is wildly negative and there's nothing you could do to cover that amount of negative money. Declare bankruptcy. Most people, if you cut their payment for unsecured debt in half, their budget is positive enough that they could save every month and get out of debt in the next few years. There are paths out. I work for Beyond Finance, accredited debt relief. I encourage you to do your research and get in touch with me if you need help with your finances. Otherwise, I don't know what else uh, you'd think I'd want. Here's nature.com. Will the U.S. science survive Trump 2.0? President Donald Trump and his administration have gutted science agencies, terminated research programs, and canceled billions of dollars in grants to universities. Not good, Bob. Read this. Oh, it's already there. What new news is there? Mm-mm-mm. I love a good article title. Melania Trump had a very bad year. Let's do it. From Bloomberg. Refresh. No. Bloomberg, you dog. Beth Macy, the best selling author of Dope Sick, is running for Congress. Saying she's the liberal JD Vance. What the fuck does that mean? Does she writhe on furniture? Does she also drunkenly writhe on furniture? Let me see. As far as the news goes, I think we're newsed out. Aw, aw. The surprising trend that hampered Trump's ability to confirm judges in 2025. Yeah, like who's comparing someone favorably to JD Vance? President Donald Trump had a pretty good run in 2025 when it came to confirming judges. Republicans control the Senate and rubber stamped most of his court picks, confirming a total of 25 lifetime federal judges. That's more than Trump got by in his first term. 19. Not as many as former President Joe Biden. 20. But the president was also hampered by a surprising new trend among sitting judges. They're not retiring. And when they're eligible to do so, in effect, they've been denying Trump the ability to fill more vacancies with his picks. Since Trump won re-election, only 30 court vacancies have been announced. Of those, 27 are on district courts and just 3 are on appeals courts, a more powerful tier of courts that often has the final say in federal lawsuits. Compare those numbers to the roughly 70 vacancies that opened during Biden's. Okay? Interesting. Remember, Donald Trump is a terrible person, killing hundreds of thousands of people globally with his cuts to things like USAID and other world programs. Yeah, he's definitely not going to heaven. That's that's something Donald Trump. Somebody's got to, because somebody got to Donald Trump. I don't know if you guys saw this over the weekend. Somebody got to Donald Trump and were like, "Hey, bro, you're not running in 2028. Like you cannot do that." And he admitted to Susie Wiles, that he knows. Okay. Now, if he changes his mind the next day, shit, whatever. The fucking grift, right? But if he knows he's not running in 2028, what else can we get him to admit? He looks like a dead man. He's very pale and angry. He's gonna have a heart attack. It can't be healthy to live like that. I mean, I don't care. I just want to make sure we. Zelensky asked Trump for 50 years of security guarantees, and it sounds like the U.S. is only doing 15. And I want to make sure that Donald Trump didn't mishear some shit. 50. 50 years of security guarantees. He said 15. It's because he's old and dying. Yeah, here's Bloomberg. Trump, Zelensky asked Trump for 50. What the fuck do you mean 15? Just making sure we say it, right? That's why he was never a drinker. Yeah, right. Right. Wall Street Journal reporting the Justice Department is using fraud law to target companies on DEI. Google and Verizon are among firms being investigated under novel interpretation of law applying to government contractors. See, the government can take issue with the companies that it contracts. Elon Musk, Tesla, XAI, X, fucking SpaceX. He gets like $8 million a day from the US government. I think we could use that $8 million a day. I think we could use that on other shit. And here's Donald Trump saying, "Hey, I'm willing to even travel to Ukraine to pitch your parliament on giving up land to Russia to get this deal done." Because remember, Donald Trump, Marco Rubio, Mitch McConnell, Scott Walker all took money from Russia, and they want to make sure that they get paid off when Russia gets to develop on Ukrainian land. By the way, if you want to know what it's like being on the internet over the age of 40, there's a Reddit for gamers, right? Like elderly gamers, older gamers. Elderly. Oh my god, I'm old. And someone said, "Hey, I'm 35. I married my dream girl. She's a gamer. We're gamers. We have a kid. We game less. We have to split the gaming time up, yada yada. And I was reading it like, sounds like a normal life, right? Sounds great. And it just so happened that they live in like a neighborhood with a lot of other couples that are also young parents of young people. And a little further reading, and you find out that at least two of his neighbors love to play video games, man, and live vicariously through them because they're gamers. And said my both basically two of this guy's neighbors said, um, my wife hates games, video games. She doesn't want me playing video games. And I commented, my wife and I are both gamers. Games have been a central part of our relationship. It's something to do that ain't you fighting or fucking. You know what I mean? Um, and I posted that I can't imagine having married someone that doesn't approve of you playing video games or isn't pro gamer. And I got muted from the channel for a week for just saying like I can't imagine marrying someone that doesn't play video games. And part of me wanted to reach out and be like, whose fucking feelings did I hurt? A moderator. Yep. I didn't say anything like bad. I just said like I can't imagine marrying someone that's anti-gaming or like not also a gamer themselves or doesn't approve of that. Like that's like part of who I am, right? Anyway, I'm married a gamer. You know what I'm saying? That's what you're supposed to do. Oh, well, here's a new person. Aw, and she's ugly too. Texas judge's new lawsuit is the latest in fight against same-sex marriage. A Texas judge is calling for the federal judiciary, Jesus, Jared, words. Federal judiciary to overrule Obergefell versus Hodges, the 2015 Supreme Court case which recognized gay marriage across the U.S., claiming in a new lawsuit that the court invented the right to homosexual marriage and it's unconstitutional. Lawsuit was filed December 19th by Waco Justice of the Peace Diane Hensley against members of the State Commission on Judicial Conduct, who sanctioned Hensley in 2019 for refusing to officiate same-sex weddings. Hensley is represented by attorney and former Texas Solicitor General Jonathan Mitchell, known for his role in crafting Texas's 21 draconic abortion ban. Oh boy. Bernie Sanders and I agree. AI is one of the most consequential technologies in our lifetime. I agree. Not worth it. Not worth it. Listen to me. I work for the largest debt consolidation company in the United States. Millions of clients, millions, billions and billions of dollars in negotiated debt, and does not have AI. No job listings, no internal people work in AI. When I did the annual training this past couple weeks, I think it was on the 14th, when I did the annual training, it said the use of AI is forbidden. If there's any AI applications that you want to use, you got to ask your manager. So just know, I went to Purdue University. I'm going to keep talking about it. My professor was an executive at AT&T for 26 years and left being an executive to go back and be a college professor to teach people, hey, instead of doing the AI shit, go do the programming shit. It'll help make sure you can get a job after you graduate. This AI shit is boo boo. And then that professor, I had him for almost 2 years. I had him 4 classes in a row. Um, was able to get through 4 classes programming. I'm an idiot without AI's help. And for the record, I want to do less work. No one wants to do it less than I do. Work. AI creates more work because you have to double check your AI's work. It's gonna get it wrong pretty frequently. Hmm. Governor Shapiro has signed a bill helping domestic violence victims collect unemployment. Interesting. Yeah, have a great day, everybody. They're threatening Ro Khanna with a good time. So, I mean, keep in mind, and here's a statement from Ro Khanna. We cannot have a nation with extreme concentration of wealth in a few places, but where healthcare, childcare, housing, education is unaffordable. I agree. You can't say we live in the greatest country of the world and have people dying in the streets. In the streets. History points to huge losses for the GOP in 2026. A uniparty. A trans NSA employee is suing Donald Trump for ordering her coworkers to harass her. Burp. What a horrible person. Violation of federal civil rights laws. House Republican. Hey, look at this. Rep. Mike Turner from Ohio said on Sunday that Russia's strikes on civilian homes, including on Christmas, are a reminder to Americans that the war against Ukraine is at odds with Americans' values. Whoa, look at that. Would you look at that? It's important to point this out. America, when we address the issue of whose side we're on, you can't be America first and be pro-Russia. Russia is a self-declared adversary of the United States, and you know, here they are, mercilessly killing Ukrainians and trying to take Ukrainian land. But think about this. If the Ukraine gets security guarantees from the US and Russia invades, hey, finally, American service members could be deployed justfully, just rightfully. You could potentially take up arms rightfully and it be justifiable. What would we do with ourselves, right? Been here for an hour and a half. Let's play a little Eat the Rich. Check out the weather. It's cold as fuck. Temperature dropped. It was like 60 degrees last night, and I mean, it feels like single digits out now. Ain't nothing really changing but the date.
See the sharp cutoff where rain in green is turning to ice.
All right. Blizzard warning. Travel impossible in Michigan with 60-mile-an-hour gusts and heavy snow. They've, oh God, they've halted blizzard rescues in Minnesota. All right. So looking at the map of the U.S., oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Okay, so if you live like west of central North Dakota, you're good. There ain't shit going on except in West Texas and southeast New Mexico, and then Western California, a little up in the northwest corner there. But really, it starts. I mean, it starts up in Canada, but from eastern North Dakota through Minnesota, down into Iowa, across Wisconsin and Michigan, down into, hey, Indy. That's us. It's going to miss us. It always misses us. A little in Ohio. There looks to be some moisture down Mississippi, Alabama, and the Panhandle of Florida, going up as a little stripe storm through Georgia, south of North Carolina into Virginia, and then really uh, what I'm always going to be concerned about, and I'm not a weatherman, are the spaces where there's cold and snow and rain. And when those things butt up in my mind, I'm like, freezing rain. I'm deathly afraid of sliding off the road and crashing in a car because it happened when I was like 4 years old. My mom was driving in a snowstorm and went to get off of the interstate and slid off the fucking road, and our car flipped over like 45 times, and my dad broke his fucking right arm, and his right arm was fucked my whole life. And my parents, my mom, my dad's family blamed my mom for that, and it caused a big issue in our fucking family for most of my life. And so now you can ask my wife, when it's inclement weather and we're driving outside, I'm freaking the fuck out. Because I'm like, holy shit, this weather is conducive to fucking horrible shit going on the roads. So there's a reason that we every day at the end of the show we sit and we talk about the weather, right? And it has to do mostly with what happened in Hill Country, Texas, where the adults in the room refused to take in like weather prediction tools and weather communication tools because it came from liberals and shit like that, the Democrats, right? So people died when floods and rains came to Hill Country, Texas, because they were wholly unaware. And I don't want that to happen to any of us, right? If you're taking the time to listen to me, most of the U.S., you're going to be all right. Okay. Have a great day. Stay safe out there.